Hey everyone, today we've got a really cool new upgrade from Microtech knives. We finally have the Gen 3 version of the UTX-85, which is my personal favorite, like EDC size OTF. Now, I'm sure you've seen a lot of the other Gen 3s like the Combat Trudon and the Ultratech. Across the board, it has been a lot of really cool upgrades, and this one is no different. And if you're familiar with the Ultratech, you'll notice that it really carries over a lot of those upgrades, which I'm very happy about. I thought they nailed it on the Gen 3 of the Ultratech. I'm an especially big fan of the new handle, like the screw placements on it and everything. I think aesthetically, it is a big improvement from the original. I'll go ahead and bring in one of the Gen 1 UTX-85s here. You'll see that the size is not exactly the same. New Gen 3 is actually a bit longer. But then if I try and line up the blades, you'll see that the blade length is almost identical, but you actually get a little bit less cutting edge on the Gen 3 here. So that's one difference. And then going forward, I believe that all of Microtech's knives are going to be an M390 MK. So that is a change from the original as well. This one was an M390, but they could have been in anything like 204P and stuff like that. Then there on the handle, you can also see that the Microtech logo is now engraved instead of that like painted on logo, which is really nice. It doesn't catch the eye as much, which I actually like. It's less billboarded, but you also don't have to worry about it like scratching off. And continuing on the handle, like I said, I am a big fan of the new screw placement, especially with them being Torx hardware now. I think that is just an excellent upgrade. And then, of course, I know I'm not the only one out there that was kind of bugged by it. It wasn't the end of the world, and I know it doesn't bother everybody, but I was never a fan of how this screw here was just put off to the side, especially because like on the UTX-70, it carried the standard screw placements, and it was even smaller. So I've never taken one apart to know why. I know there's got to be some reason that it had to be there, but I don't know. It always just kind of caught my eye, and I couldn't unsee it. On this one, you don't have any of that. There's no like asymmetry there. I think aesthetically it is just a big improvement. And while we're down there, I'll also mention, again, I really like that glass breaker. I think they nailed it on the new one. There wasn't anything wrong with the previous one. It just kind of stood out quite a bit. And it was the same on the Gen 2 version of the UTX-85 as well. It was a slightly different one there, but it still stuck out a little bit further than I personally like. And I'll go ahead and show off both the Gen 1 and Gen 2 here in case you haven't seen them in a while. They've got a lot in common. The Gen 2 is actually a little bit shorter overall compared to the Gen 1, which is interesting. But other than that, they were pretty comparable. And all of that is pretty much changed, again, on the 3 here. Especially on that pocket clip. This is their new like titanium 3D machined pocket clip with that bulb for retention. I think visually it just looks a lot nicer, and it's just a big step up in quality. Now, bringing in the Gen 3 version of the Ultratech, you can see again it does have almost everything in common with it. The clip, the glass breaker, the slide switch, which is now a lot wider and is riding on their dual fuel drivetrain. So it is so much easier to open and close. Like I can even do this with like my right and left index fingers, which is wild. You couldn't really do that on the old ones. Then underneath the slide switch, those do have the new Crud Kutter, which if I bring in the original, you'll see it does not have that. It's basically just those notches there underneath the slide. It's meant to help break up any like lint or debris buildup so that wouldn't get in the way of your action. One difference between these though is that the Ultratech here, this one is one of their ZBP or zero blade plays. The 85 is not. I don't know if there's plans to make a ZBP version. A lot of that's up in the air. I don't know if it's even potentially compatible with it at all, but I'll try and bring this close to the mic here. There's some blade play, but not a lot. Like if I bring in the original, it's definitely less than the original. Not that the original had much either, because that is just kind of the nature of the beast when you're dealing with OTFs. Next up, I wanted to go ahead and bring in a ruler to show you the exact measurements of this one. So from tip to the glass breaker here, that's about 7 3/4, but excluding the glass breaker, it's a little under 7 1/2. And that blade length is about 3 1/4, but only about 2 3/4 of that is your cutting edge. And that, of course, leaves you with about a 4 1/4 length handle. So that's pretty cool. And I also wanted to go ahead and bring in a scale to see any changes from the original here. So let's see. All right, so we're at about 3 1/2 ounces. So that, I believe, is actually a step up. In hand, it does feel a little bit heavier. So the Gen 1, yeah, about 2.8, 2.9. So definitely a bit heavier. And then, yeah, it was the same for the Gen 2. So yeah, the Gen 3 is a bit heavier than its predecessors. And then there's the Gen 3 Ultratech. The Ultratech and the UTX-85 are actually really close in weight. And yeah, it does feel like it. For how much shorter this is, it does feel a bit denser, actually. So that is interesting. I'm kind of curious as to why that is. But again, not super heavy or anything. 3 1/2 ounces is totally a fine EDC weight. I just thought that was interesting. So I'm really excited to hear what your guys' opinion is of the UTX-85 Gen 3 here. Like I said at the beginning, this is definitely my personal favorite EDC size for an OTF. I haven't pulled the trigger yet on any of the Gen 3s, even though I was super tempted with the Ultratech and especially the Combat Trudon. But this very well might break me, and it probably will, because it keeps everything I loved about the 85 and gets rid of all of the little issues that I did personally have with it before. Again, not that there was really any big problems at all. I'm just spoiled and a little OCD. So yeah, be sure to let me know if you plan on picking one up or if you've already ordered one. And if there's anything else you'd like to see changed on it or that you actually might miss from the original. I'd love to hear it all. And again, if you do want to pick one of these up or just read even more about it, there are links in the description box down below. They'll take you on over to GPKNIVES.com. But before you leave, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and stay sharp.